Today is Holy Saturday. Now, I know this may be a bit of a stretch for some of us who are finally getting used to Good Friday, much less Maundy Thursday. But then we're all doing things that we're not accustomed to doing in these days. It was Saturday, after the intense love expressed in that Passover meal with Jesus, the crushing pain of the crucifixion. The disciples are now huddled in the dark. Curtains are drawn. Filled with fear, the doors are locked tightly. Deathly quiet, as the only conversations are conducted in hushed tones. The disciples had likely played out a number of different scenarios when they entered Jerusalem just a short week earlier. They could have imagined Jesus rising up and calling forth a revolution that would rout the Roman occupiers, and they would be established as his chief lieutenants. Or maybe Jesus, the rabbi, would become the leading rabbi, and they, of course, would be his key influencers. But nobody would have imagined that Jesus would be dead and buried. That simply wasn't in the cards. But here they were, huddled in the darkness, afraid of the future, while Jesus lay buried in Joseph's tomb. They could talk about the past. They had given up everything, their family, their friends, their occupations, to follow this Rabbi Jesus. Would they be able to go back? Could they go back? Should they go back? Or was the past, how things once were, simply a faded memory, that things might not ever be the same again? That's a tough place to be when your thoughts are clouded in fear and overshadowed by loss. That grief robs us not only of what once was, but keeps us from imagining what could be. So here are those disciples on that Saturday, living somewhat like we do on this Saturday, huddled in fear and uncertainty and loss. In the midst of their conversations, Mary looks at Mary and says, "Let's go, we've got work to do." We give thanks to God for those who are willing to step up and do what needs to be done, even when it's the hard thing to do, even when it's a dangerous thing to do. On that Saturday, in a room in a world shrouded in darkness and uncertainty, 10 disciples huddled in fear. 2 women went to do what needed to be done. And God was at work. To be continued.